Welcome to Ballet Wise. My name is Michael Wise, its host and its creator. I wanted to say thank you to so many of you that have left wonderful comments in one of our previous videos. It really has made a difference. I also want to say thank you to our first 500 subscribers, and I wanted to say thank you from the bottom of my heart that you're helping us make this channel successful, and hopefully we'll be able to move forward with you as well. Now, today's subject, I want to talk about something that's really, really important, and it's lacking, and people aren't talking about it. How perfection kills progress. When you're in that studio, we're being harped on by our teachers, by our directors, by choreographers about trying to get that step perfect. But when we are so focused on one very specific thing, we have a tendency to not see all the other things. Ballet, contemporary movement, dance in general, we strive to be perfect, but the reality of perfection is more like a mirage. The ability to be perfect is overly surgical, it has no feeling, and sometimes what we could see as being a perfect performance doesn't show us that the technique was perfect. We have to understand and separate out that we always want to do the best that we can do. And yes, we're striving towards perfection, but there's a whole lot more that's going on. And if we let that cloud our focus too much, we're going to miss out on all the nuances, the feeling, the passion that you have. All of that is just going to get pushed to the wayside. And if we don't find a way to allow that to be nurtured within the technique, quite often you're going to end up with this disassociation because you know that dance should be felt, should be projected. But the reality is because we're becoming so focused on perfection that we're disassociating ourselves from what actually makes dance important. Now, on the other hand, do we disregard being perfect? By no means. We only get better if we strive towards something. But going back to that previous comment I made, perfection is almost like a mirage. It's something we strive towards, but we know that the reality of what it is sometimes is fleeting. And if you don't have that ability to see that perspective, you can get caught in this spiral downward of it's all about perfection. It's all about doing it the right way all the time. I'm not saying that there isn't a time when we are working on things. Perfect example. When I'm training anybody in a variation, we're going to spend the first couple of rehearsals working on the technique. But we're not going to spend every rehearsal working on the technique. When I'm teaching a ballet class, I try to create an environment where we can smile, we have the opportunity to laugh a little bit, so that we can really apply ourselves super hard when we're doing our combinations. But I want to create that balanced approach, because if you feel free, you will have a better way of working towards that idea of perfection, but also you will have that ability to smile at the same time, breathe deeper at the same time, and become more accustomed to how does it feel to do the technique. Now, we can learn to feel what that perfect turnout is. We can learn to feel what that perfect pirouette feels like. But feelings allow us to convey other things as well. Now, we've had this conversation in previous videos about whether ballet is losing something, or whether it's becoming too athletic and it's losing a sense of itself. What I'm trying to talk to you about is part of that problem is how we're addressing it. When you are in your ballet classes, when you're in your company classes, you have to learn that if we overfocus on perfection, we can lose our way, because that's not dance. That's not art. The steps themselves, the intent of the steps means something. But if we're so focused on perfection, how are we saying what that technique is supposed to mean? We can't. We've seen those dancers that they go out on stage and you swear to God that it's like reckless abandon. You're afraid they're going to hurt themselves. Now, some of those are probably dancers that are not very good at what they're doing and we're more fearful for them. But there are other dancers that are absolutely amazing that it just blows your mind. And it's not just a technical thing. We can create danger in our movement. We can take risks within the movement. But if we are so focused on perfection, how can you take a risk? How can you show danger? How can you show passion? You can't, because perfection of technique doesn't allow the room for any of those things. Think about what it means to you. Think about how you can apply this. Let us know in the comments what you're dealing with. Are you able to find a way to feel what you're doing and not just focus on doing it right? If you're a teacher or a director, let me know how you approach this. For me, quite often, I'd walk into a ballet class and we'd joke around and call it therapy. And I know that sounds kind of strange, but because we would always find a way to take all of those emotions that were just overwhelming and find a way to apply them and use them to our advantage. And if you've never done this, perfect example, have you ever tried doing grand battements but angry? You will find there is this fire in your movement, an aggression in your movement. Now, that's not always what we want, but what you are learning is that your emotions can also help you reach that artistic understanding of perfection, but not the cold understanding that I feel like so many of us are pushing ourselves towards. Now, the other problem that I know for many of you is we get in our heads so often, perfect, 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 perfect. And then we have trouble leaving that headspace. Remember that performing doesn't just happen on the stage. Performing doesn't just happen in that rehearsal. Performing starts in the studio, in your class. When you step forward and you're doing the adagio, do you take a moment and try to hear what the music is telling you? Is this music very romantic? Is this music melancholy? Well, sometimes we need to allow that to enter into our movement quality. But what you're doing now is you're learning that perfection is irrelevant. Without the ability to emote, without the ability for it to flow. No matter if we've danced in the past, we're still dancing, or we're retired and we've moved beyond that. That sense of wanting to be perfect, but also that sense of wanting to feel, to be present within that technique, stays with us for the rest of our lives. Just because I'm older, my ballet career has ended, doesn't mean that I stop thinking and feeling. And it's my job to help my students and those dancers that are moving on to professional careers explore that within themselves. So once again, I want to thank those of you that have subscribed. I want to thank all of you for all the great and wonderful comments that you have given us. And I ask you to continue, because the conversations we're building can help us all understand better and help us move in the right direction. Once again, my name is Michael Wise. This is Ballet Wise. So keep dancing, but do it with feeling. Be the best person you can be. Bye.